So Dillian Whyte pulled out of his fight with Joyce via hand injury. Okay, fair enough. Look, injuries happen. They do. As a result, now we're going to get likely Filip Hrgović versus Joyce, which in my opinion is a better fight. I love the fight. I think it's going to be really, really fun, entertaining. While it lasts, I expect Filip Hrgović to win. Probably maybe stoppage late. It's a tough one to call, but I would expect Filip Hrgović to win the fight. I think that it's going to be interesting to see how he looks, because there's a lot of questions, especially now about, we question his motivation when he was winning fights, much less now that he's taken a loss, and a hard loss as well against Daniel Dubois. Not like he was knocked out cold, but winning the fight, gassed out, and then, that's going to be a hard one to come back from. So in the place of Dillian Whyte, we've got a really entertaining fight. And as I said, and many of my subscribers said in the comment section, no, we prefer this. Dillian Whyte's pulled out, but by doing so, he's actually made what was already a good card even better now, because we all like this fight, we all do. The question now remains, well, what happens with Dillian Whyte? Because this was his big kind of homecoming, so to speak, although he's not from Manchester originally. He hasn't fought in the UK in well over 2 years. November of 22 was the last time he fought in the UK. He fought in Ireland last year, and he fought in Gibraltar, but he's not fought in the UK. He's obviously had his issues. He was meant to fight Anthony Joshua in August of 23. He was meant to fight Joshua, and obviously we know it didn't happen. Adverse analytical finding is the terminology they used. And since then, it's been kind of, well, what's happening with Dillian Whyte? What does he do? He returns in Castlebar on the west coast of Ireland in County Mayo. Doesn't look good against Christian Hammer, but all right, we'll give him a pass on that one. Fights a ancient Ebenezer Tete, 36 plus 20 years, and again, looks terrible. So going into this fight, I was thinking, right, it's loser leaves town. It really is. I know Ade and me and him are filming on Friday. So Ade and G-Man will probably be a bit late this week, because Ade is obviously in America. I go back to Dublin on Friday night. So we've kind of, as it stands, we're going to film Friday afternoon. So hopefully it'll be out Friday evening or Saturday morning. Just so you know, I know a lot of people like the Ade and G-Man show. I'm a bit biased because I think it is the best boxing show around. But I'm biased, what can I say? But, I don't think I'm wrong on that one. And we're going to obviously discuss that. But the question now is, what does Dillian Whyte do? Because, what does he do? Joyce was a winnable fight, because Joyce hasn't been looking good at all. He really hasn't. Since he fought Zhilei Zhang, in particular the second fight, he's looked a shell of himself. The chin's been well and truly dented. He seems to have slower than ever now. And I haven't noticed it myself personally. I really haven't, but a lot of people have been saying that Joyce's speech is an issue, is something that they're worried about. But I've interviewed Joyce, and he literally sounds the same as he did when I interviewed him a couple of years ago. So I'm not noticing much of a difference, but he's certainly, taken enough shots, so I well believe it. But now that fight is gone, what fight could you really do for Dillian Whyte that's going to pay him well? Because he obviously wants to make some money. He obviously wants to have one final crack at the whip of making, really, really big sums of money. But what do you do? Well, there's really kind of only two options, in my opinion, for Dillian Whyte. One of them he might like, one of them he might not like. And one of them isn't Anthony Joshua. I think that ship has sailed for Dillian Whyte to get that rematch with AJ. And I think he would have lost it even if it had happened a couple of years ago. But now, I know Joshua's seen better days, but man, I don't think Dillian Whyte has anything left. The two fights I would look to do for Dillian Whyte now, one of them, when I say he wouldn't like it, is I would stick him in with Moses Itauma. You want to get the Itauma name out there. He's not going to break Mike Tyson's record, but he is a future. He is the future of the heavyweight division. He is going to do great things, I have no doubt, in the sport, in the heavyweight division. And, people like Alexander Usyk, Tyson Fury have said as much. And you got to bear in mind, Alexander Usyk is not a member of Team Fury, obviously. He's not a member of Queensberry. But he sees the talent in Itauma. Tyson Fury, he's had him in sparring multiple times, very impressed with him. And listen, I believe that, I really do. Broken clock is right twice a day, I believe that. And many others, Lawrence Okoli, Ben Davison, I know he's his trainer, Shane McGuigan, all spoke very highly of him. So I think for him to headline, maybe in the O2, so maybe in the OVO Arena, the headline against Dillian Whyte would just make sense for me. I would make him a massive favourite. I think he'd knock Dillian Whyte out, probably with a left hand, straight left hand or an uppercut. But that makes sense. You can put that on the zone, because it'd be on the zone. I was going to say TNT, but no, be on the zone. So exposure on the zone. You've got, obviously now you've got Frank. You've got kind of the future stars that you can promote now, because, you know, Helma's on the zone, so he's not on TNT, he's on the zone. So that's an idea. The other idea is, although he said he'd stop at 50, apparently he's not going to stop at 50. Apparently he's going to keep going. I don't like this. I don't think he should, but we're talking about Derek Chisora. The idea of a fight in Zimbabwe, in Africa, it seems like that's gone out the window. And he was in a recent TalkSport podcast, he was talking about having more fights in the UK. So, again, I mean, like, just on a side note, I would like to see Chisora call it a day, personally. I've said that before about him, that I think, you know, enough is enough. And, you know, if you want to have a 50th fight, fine. But for me, he just, like Joe Joyce, some people are saying, but with Chisora, it's apparent that he's not quite cognitively there. Certainly not what he was a couple of years ago. So him against Dillian Whyte, I think that would be the perfect way to go out. Not to carry on your career, prolonging it, as in, you know, a fight after that and after that and after that. But in terms of how to go out, if you're not going to have it in Africa, you got to do it in your spiritual home of the O2. It would probably it might not sell out, probably wouldn't, but it would do very good numbers nonetheless. Derek Chisora is a name, Dillian Whyte is a name. The trilogy fight, Derek Chisora probably feels he should have a win in those fights. And yeah, I mean, I'd be all for it. Why not? So I think there is options for Dillian Whyte, but in terms of at the top level, that ship is well and truly sailed. I mean, if he takes a top level fight against anybody, imagine him rematching Joseph Parker. Man, he'd get starched. He'd get absolutely obliterated. Imagine him against, I know Bacoli is, you know, I think some people, but still he'd get starched by Bacoli. Dubois would absolutely annihilate him. Usyk, I don't even want to go there. You know, so he's not beating any of Kabayel, even Zhang. I wouldn't pick him over any of them. So they're the fights I think that are left for Dillian Whyte, or what is left for him. Makes the most sense. So let me know in the comment section your thoughts for Dillian Whyte. My two names that come to mind are Telma. I was going to say pass on the torch, not really, but just, you know, push a Telma along, or that trilogy fight with Chisora. Boom. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed the video, people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe as always if you haven't already. And until next time, peace. And by the way, before I finish, actually, tomorrow night is Thursday. I normally film with Addy on a Thursday, but I won't be doing that obviously because he's still in New York. We will try and get a live in tomorrow. I have done lives obviously in the last couple of weeks, but I haven't done a proper let's just kick back talk boxing. They've always been around a subject, whether it's Dubois pulling out or it's a watch along or something. So it's nice that I have a free even tomorrow. Let's talk boxing. So hopefully, if all goes well, because you never know, I'm a busy man. Hopefully we can do that. Let me know your thoughts. Until then, peace.